Yo, it's Captain, coming at you with Tears of the Kingdom Adventure Journal. I don't know, is it 28, 29? Look, I don't know. I brought up a map so I could talk about the places I didn't bring up. I didn't bring up the thing that told me what number I'm on. It's only like the third one we're doing. It's just the 28th or ninth time that I've sat down and played the game. But I'm trying a little bit of different positioning out, so we'll see if it looks better or not. Today we actually got a lot of story done, so we're probably going to talk more about the story. The gameplay we did a little bit of, but I kind of just like did it and like had a major skill issue and then got really salty about it, and it was embarrassing and not my proudest moment because I was just a little shit kid about it. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to swear on YouTube. I just talk as casually as I always do. But I feel like people always say you're not supposed to do that. So I don't know. Maybe I need a better word for shit kid. One day I'm going to make a video about choking on stream or just choking in general. Not like, but like when you're performing, when you're choking, because I think that's an interesting topic. But today, we're going to talk about the story and a little, yeah, and we'll talk on the gameplay a little bit, but pretty much we did like the whole Yunobo sequence today. So the last time we had played, we made it to Goron City and we saw Luchador Yunobo, and he was a jerk. And it was like, what's going on? Why is he being a jerk? And everybody's eating the marbled rock roast, and they're all going crazy. They just sit there and want more of it, and they don't do anything. And when they run out, they get cranky and start getting mad. They're completely addicted to it, right? So we're trying to figure out what's going on with that. We hear Yunobo is the one that's been mining it, and it seems like Zelda's the one who's telling him to do it. Some blonde-haired Hylian woman, right? Which is always Zelda. I haven't paid attention. I need to look at the NPCs. Are Zelda and Link the only NPCs with blonde hair? You know how like all the Sheikah tribe have the white hair? I wonder. I wonder. I have to check that out. Maybe it's a specialty thing. Well, anyways, so we that's where we started, and it was like go see what's up with Yunobo at Yunobo headquarters. So that's where we started the day, and that's where we went. We went to Yunobo headquarters, and we had a little fun cart ride over there. They kind of they show you that there's carts everywhere, and you can ride them around. You just have to set them up and do it. I mean, you could just walk, but there's like a bunch of enemies down there, and there was very clearly like a cart rail from where you started to where you needed to go. So it's like, well, I ain't dealing with that. You put the cart together and you run over. It's actually really fun. We tried to take a Korok over there, and it kind of worked. And then he disappeared later. We had to do it again. And then I got into. Then he took us to the cave. Oh god! But you go to Unoboko, and you talk to the cutest little Goron kids, and they're like, "We're supposed to guard the entrance for Unobo, uh, but you know what? He's been acting weird ever since he put on that mask." This, I will tell you right now, this story is rushed. It is so rushed. Remember how we talked about how like Mineru or what's her name was like, uh, I'm sorry, here's things that distract me. Monero was like, "Oh, by the way, you could become a dragon, but you'll be cursed." And you're like, "What?" Well, this came out of left field. Well, that kind of stuff continues because just out of nowhere, these kids are like, "Oh, he's been weird ever since he put on the mask," and it's like, so this was just introduced in 1 second. You're like out of nowhere, and you're like, "Oh, I guess this mask is like, yeah, ever since that blonde lady gave him the mask, he's been acting weird." It's like, oh, and so it's like, oh, I guess they're setting up like a mind control thing. And then the other kid, I swear to God, like right after that, the other kid's like, "Yeah, it's almost like he's under mind control." And I'm like, oh my God, Nintendo, please, Anuma, please. But we talked about it. We were talking about, because we were thinking about it. I talked about it on stream because we were thinking about it. Story just seems to be second place in this game, and it would be really great if they took all the improvements they did to the open world and the play space and the playground nature of it, and also applied that to like the story and the smoothness of the controls, because the controls just never quite do what you want them to do. Um, and then the game would be stellar. It'd be out of this world. But they doubled down on what was good about Breath of the Wild, and they kind of left what wasn't alone. Like they doubled down on making the world cooler, making the physics engine more fun to play with, and making the playground part have more toys in the playground. Essentially, you can fuse stuff, you can build stuff, you can put things together, and it's great. All that stuff's great. They made levels to the world. It's great, but the story still seems pretty light and goofy, and just kind of quick, just out of nowhere quick. I don't know, I remember Breath of the Wild being this like, it's like the story can't wait. It's like we don't have time to work with Yunobo, man. We got to get going. Um, Maybe they're gonna tell like a bigger story at the end, because this town story's gone so quickly. Um, this one felt quicker than Rito, but I don't know. I came into Rito like backwards, so maybe it just took me longer than. But you'll see. I mean, by the end of this play session, we kind of had finished the Yunobo bit. Well, I don't. I mean, to be fair, I don't know. There's still more to do. Maybe, I imagine he'll have more to do there. But well, we'll see. We'll see where we are. Anyways, the kids. So we go to Yunobo. We're talking to these kids. They tell us about this mask, and they say, you know what? We'll let you in if you promise to fix, Big Bro Yunobo. And you're like, well, I want to get in there and fix them anyway, so let's do it. You walk in there, and it's Zelda. What? It is Zelda. And the kids come in, and they're like, Bo, you've been acting weird. Take off that mask so we can go back to normal. And he's like, oh, kids. And then you see Zelda go. Woo. Now you never see her face. You never see her face, and this is consistent. You never see her face, and I have a feeling that when they finally reveal her face, it's gonna be like crazy. Um, but so then the mask glows, and Yunobo's like, oh, I gotta do, I got no, the rock roast is good. This is helpful, and then he becomes like a little boss fight. So we know what the mask was. I guess I should have pointed that out a second ago. We know what the mask the blacksmith was talking about last time. The blacksmith in the city. We know what that mask was. Um, this fake Zelda, presumably fake Zelda, has had him made it out of weird materials, presumably the rock roast, to control Yunobo. So then you do like a little boss fight with him where you've got to like dodge his roller balls. And so that he rolls himself into the wall, and then he goes, oh, and you hit him. It was fun. I actually did manage to like shield parry him once, but it was dude's fast. They do not like they don't they you see him wind up and you're like, oh, he's gonna charge me. But then as soon as he does, he's like, what? It's like almost unreactable. I think you're just supposed to run. I think you're just supposed to run in circles so that he just doesn't hit you. But I did parry him, and it doesn't even give you like, he doesn't even go dizzy. You can't hit him. It doesn't count. I was like, man, that was super hard, and it doesn't even count. You jerks, come on, man. Anyways, you hit him. Every time you hit him, it breaks his mask, and then his mask pops off, and he's like, oh, I'm back to normal. And then you turn around and you see Zelda's escaping. Again, you only see her back, and then she like caves in the wall, so you've got to like, they teach you a little mechanic that you can, Yunobo's like your partner now, just like Tulin was. And his little mechanic is you can activate him and then use him as like a rollerball. You can use his rollerball ability that he was trying to hit you with to hit things, and you can break special rocks with it, and whatever. And that's how you get out. But this whole time he's just like, oh, that's weird. We almost caught up with Zelda. Like he doesn't think she's evil. And I don't know if Link thinks she's evil, or we as a character, in the RP are supposed to think she's evil. But clearly, as a player, it's like, this is not Zelda. This is weird. But Yunobo is just like, oh no, we got to go catch up with her and see if she's okay. That was so crazy. And you're like, what, dude? So, and then you walk out there and you see she's on top of Death Mountain. And he's like, we got to catch up to her. It's not safe up there. And the next objective part of the story is to get to the top of Death Mountain, right? And you can see there's a minecart track that goes up there, and you're like, oh, this is nice. So that becomes the next thing. That's not the next thing we did. I got distracted by a Korok, and that took us to a cave that was full of minecarts. Oh, and I looked this up. That's why I have this map in front of me. That took us to the Isle of Rabak Gallery, which is a cave next to the Isle of Rabak. Uh, and I thought it'd just be a quick little cave. We did the Korok. I thought it would just be a quick little cave we'd do, and then we'll go back to the main story. It was a huge ass cave. It had a minecart puzzle that got me very salty. I was getting killed by fire keys all over the place. I fell off the minecart because you had to like turn the minecart on and turn it off. But if you turned it off, like it broke the physics and you would fall. I was so mad. I was so mad, and then I couldn't like get out of being mad. But it takes you all around, and you get all sorts of. Was it? Did we get an outfit out of it? No, we didn't. We got a shrine out of it. You get a shrine out of it. So we did that, and then I had to like chill out for. I had to like take a break, but then I was like, "Yo, we got to get our gear upgraded. I need to replace my fairies because that didn't go well. And I have this thing where I don't like to teleport, but this game very much seems like it's set up more to teleport than Breath of the Wild did. I played through all of Breath of the Wild, only teleporting like a couple of times, like the times you kind of had to, which I think there was only two you had to, and I might have teleported like once or twice other than that. But it was like a 500-hour playthrough, and I didn't teleport. And I really think the game was better for it. But this game, there's oftentimes you just get into spots where there's like, well, I can't get out. I guess they want me to teleport. Um, and so I'm trying to, I'm still trying not to do it, but I was like, fuck, that salted me so much. Let's go get our gear upgraded. Let's go deal with this. Let's go turn in my shrine orbs and, get a hard upgrade. And so we did that, and it helped me cool down a little bit. And we got some gear upgraded and whatnot. And then ended up going back, and we didn't quite make it. We started in, you teleport back to Goron City, so you kind of got to start over a little bit. And then I ended up down at Yunobo HQ South Cave because there was like an adventurer that we saved, and she's like, I feel like there's a piece of armor around here. And I was like, yo, the piece of armor that we're getting are these hot attack stuff, and I have one piece. I'd love another piece. And so we looked around for a cave, and there was one. And this was a shorter cave. It was a much funner cave. We get to build like a car and drive it around, which is really cool. Drive it over the lava, and then you get the other piece of fire attack gear, and it's the helmet, which is great because I remember I bought the hot pants. So now I've got so I'm still good. I can wear my hot pants, and I can wear my fire attack chest, and now I got a fire attack helmet. It looks cool. It's got like dragon horns. So I got the whole set, and then I teleported and I upgraded that one. And then we were ready to go, right? So then we went back. So then we're back on the story. We got on the mine cart and we drove it up there. And it doesn't go all the way up Death Mountain. It just like gets to Death Mountain, and then you're like kind of at the base, and it's like, oh, I still got to climb up the whole mountain. What do I do? And you kind of look around, and there's some Gorons you could talk to, and they're all like crazed in the rock rose. And then you see there's a minecart track that just circles Death Mountain, which is really cool. So you can just ride around because at any time you can build a cart now, right? Because that's how Tears of the Kingdom works. Anytime you can build a cart and just ride it around the mountain, like this is cool. The whole Death Mountain area, I've really liked the improvements to. I didn't really notice them so much in Rito Town and in Hebra. I mean, it was just the cold mountains. It's just everything's cold and it's mountains. But this area, like we talked about it, I had to confirm with people. It all used to be lava in Breath of the Wild, but since Death Mountain stopped erupting, now you just see where the lava used to be. It's all just black obsidian or whatever it's called when lava cools. and it's all over the place. And so you'll look on the map and it'll say this is a river, and you look at it like this is not a river. Well, it's cool lava. It was a river in Breath of the Wild. So the play space is actually very different. There's because you can't touch the lava. So now there's all these extra play spaces, and there's all this fun stuff. And Death Mountain's very different because instead of lava running down it, it's just like these black cooled lavas, and you can do things like run around on the mine carts and stuff. Whereas in Breath of the Wild, a lot of it just wasn't playable space. It was just how to not get in the lava. You just had to figure out ways over it. So, uh, minecart all around the mountain, but there's also a minecart that goes up the mountain, and it's like, oh, okay, we just take the minecart up the mountain. That'll be easy. That'll be fun. That'll be way better than trying to climb the damn thing like with your hands. And there was a cave. Which cave was this? I have a map over here, so I keep looking over. Death Mountain West Tunnel. It was like right in front of us. We got in, so I thought I might as well check it because it looked kind of small. And there's a guy in there, and he's like, "Oh, I need to get across the minecart track, but it's broken." And you're like, "What? Oh, I forgot. This isn't the second." Actually, the very start when you go to Yunobo, it's a similar quest. You got to take a little baby Goron over there. So they kind of introduce this. There's this mechanic where you put an NPC in the cart, and you got to get him across. You got to build the cart that gets them across. Well, this one has a wrinkle because there's a hole in the track that you find out when you go over there. And he's like, "I need you to get me across, but there's a hole." And you're like, "Well, how do I? There's no way to repair the hole." So you're like, "How do I get him over that?" And then there's a secret wall in the back with a bunch of rockets, and you're like, "Yes." So you build a little cart, and we strap rockets all over it, and he goes, "Phew!" It was a lot of fun. And then you beat the quest, and he's like, "Thanks, man. I'm gonna eat my rock roast." So then we flew up the mountain, and there's this cool. Oh, we found it. It just happens. I love this mechanic. If you have Yunobo, because Yunobo's with us this whole time, right? And if you have Yunobo with you, if you're on a vehicle of any kind, he jumps in front of it and becomes a cannonball. He essentially becomes a turret that you can shoot. You can launch him. And it never introduces this to you. It never gives you a tutorial or is annoying thing. It just happens. It makes complete sense. And everything just works. It's totally intuitive. You see it. You see the A button change to like launch, and you're like, oh, I get it. So just as we're going around in vehicles on minecarts, we have this, and they make use of this mechanic as you go up the track for Death Mountain. They put a bunch of enemies, and there's big rocks in the way, and you're just like launch. You're like trying to aim Yunobo and launch him, and it's a fun mechanic. I love it. I think way cool. Great use of Yunobo. Um, Great use of like the companion abilities because like Breath of the Wild, they were a little weak. Like some of them were like really effective. Some of them were really powerful, but like you didn't really do much with them. It was just like, well, I died, but I got a free life. And some of them were like trash. They're just kind of annoying. They just happen when you didn't want to, or you never got to use them. And then some of them were like Rivali's Gale, which you literally did all the time because it was so useful, and you wish it didn't have the cooldown it did. So we're seeing this new companion ability, the Goro Buster. I don't know what we're calling it, but great, very fun little trip up the mountain. Um, and then we're coming to the, I don't know how long this video is going. We're coming to the end of our little story section. You get to the top, and Zelda is not. It's just not like there. You get there, and Yunobo's like talks to you a little bit, and he's like, "Look up there," and then you talk to him again, and then he's like, "Look, it's Zelda." And again, you don't see her. She's standing at the precipice of the opening of Death Mountain, which has got a bunch of gloom and stuff coming out of it now. She doesn't look. She kind of looks back, but you don't see her. It's like she just acknowledges your presence, and then she like walks into the gloom, and she like does like a monster summon. You know how like a lot of times in previous Zeldas, you encounter like Ganon, and he's like, "Oh, you thought you'd foil me," and then he summons a monster to get in your way, or they tell you that Ganon summoned a monster to get in your way, and now that's where the bosses exist. She basically pulled one of those, and I'm like, is she Ganon? Is this Ganon looking like Zelda? Why? What? How? What? I don't, because remember last time I said I don't understand why we have a fake Zelda because we already have a villain. It's Ganondorf. Like, why do we need another one? So now I'm wondering maybe fake Zelda is Ganondorf, and maybe he's pretending to be Zelda. But why? He's never been like tricksy. He's never needed to be. He's just like, I'm Ganondorf. I'm gonna slap you in the face. I'm Ganondorf. I'm the big man. So I don't know what's going on. Uh, I got distracted because I wanted to say I'm fucking Ganondorf. But then I was like, should I swear on YouTube? I'm like, well, we already sweared. Oh well, we'll work on it. But then the whole top of Death Mountain becomes a boss, and which is pretty cool. It's not Volvagia. It's, I don't have this looked up. It's on the map. It's like Magmagia, Mogmagia, something like that, something Gia, and it's slightly referential to Volvagia, but it's like a Hydra head, and they're all Hydra heads, and they're coming out of the top of the mountain, and they're shooting fireballs, and they kind of look like the rock roast. And Yunobo even mentions that those look like the rocks, but they're alive. And you're like, well, what do you do now? And then of course the devs just have left these vehicles. They've left these glider planes with steering sticks and fans and batteries, and you're like, oh. And so you get on them and you just fly around. I mean, this is the clips you see of everybody like, I build a vehicle, let's me fly around all of Hyrule. And I thought that was the players doing crazy shit, but no, it's the devs were like, no, 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 this is what we intended. So they just have these vehicles, you just get on it, and the flying stick just lets you start flying around. You can just fly over the entire world. And I'm just like, what? You can just fly over all Hyrule? And you can. You just can. You just can. It blew my mind. It blew my mind. It was such a cool thing to experience. Because we had glided, we had flown before, but never like full control. Never like I'm in an airplane and I'm just driving it around. And of course, Yunobo's on the front as a big cannonball, and so you're supposed to fly around the boss and shoot the heads with Yunobo. We did some risky maneuvers to take pictures, as I was reminded to take pictures of this boss. And so I flew up there and then like switched to the camera. We got a couple cool photos, and we had to decide between two of them because it was not easy to take photos up there, and it was a little bit tricky. I went with the one that wasn't as cool but looked, you could see the face better. They were both taken while flying, but I had one where you could like see two heads and they were like shooting, but because they were shooting, they didn't really look like heads. They just looked like things that were shooting. Anyways, we actually fell while getting one of those pictures, and I was like, do I need to game over or what? But no, the devs had us covered. They had just littered those flying machines just around the mountain. So if you fell off, you could just glide back to the mountain, and there was like a little alcove right there. So I don't know if we got really lucky or they're just all over the place. So we got back on it and shot it down. Um, and then you land with Yunobo in another cutscene, and he's like, Princess Zelda went into the mountain. We gotta go in there and make sure she's okay. And then he just like takes off, and you're just like, Link's literally there like, what? And I don't know if Link is like, what? He's so crazy. He just jumped in, or Link's like, what? He still thinks Zelda's a good. He still thinks that's Zelda. He still thinks that's like, Zelda's good. And I mean that's where we got today. So that was the whole story arc. So it was very quick. It was like literally like, Bo's being mind controlled. Oh, you fixed him. Oh, we got it. Zelda's up on the mountain. Oh, we caught up to her. Oh, she's probably evil and she jumped in. We got to follow her. And I suspect you just like jump down and you end up in the fire temple or something, and then it's all over. I don't know. Maybe it's so quick because there's so much more to come. But do I wish there was more and the story wasn't so rushed? Yes. But is it really like, it's like Tears of the Kingdom is saying we're not really that type of game. It's more about playing with the cool stuff. And did I get a lot of cool stuff to play with? Yes. Did I have fun with the mine carts? Yes. Did I have fun with the flying machine? Yes. Did I have fun with most of the caves? Yes. Uh, and so they doubled down on that, made that good. But yeah, I would have loved a bigger story and things that just like it was very much like Saturday morning cartoon level of like we have 30 minutes to tell a story and it's like, oh, we're mind controlled. Oh, we fixed it, you know. But who knows? Maybe I'm being too hasty in my judgment. I actually am very excited to jump into the volcano of Death Mountain and go down to the depths. I'm very excited for the main story to take us to the depths because that's never happened before. And just to see what's going on. It's potential the fire temple's down there. There's some hints at Gorondia, which is the ancient city that the Gorons supposedly used to live in. Maybe that's down there. Um, I don't know. Ever since I uncovered the map and saw that Death Mountain was a hole to the chasm, or what Death Mountain's crater was a chasm to the depths, I was very excited about jumping down it. So it's kind of cool they made it the centerpiece of the story where you do that. So I'm excited to continue. I don't know, it'll probably be a little bit before I get to Zelda. Again, I think I want to do um, Souls and Star Rail, but and it's a nice stopping point. I guess if you're just watching the videos, it won't matter. But so I don't know. Overall, pretty exciting story section. Lots of fun action, if not much, you know, dramatic depth. And lots of fun gameplay mechanics. Like just lots of fun gameplay mechanics that I didn't expect. You know, I kind of assumed we saw it gave us all the toys up front, and that's all we would get, kind of like Breath of the Wild. But no, they had like a lot of new cool stuff to do with the mine carts and shooting Yunobo around. That was really cool. So I don't know the Goron Town impressing me so far. I'm having a really good time with it. But that's all I can think about to talk to. That's all I can think about to talk to you about today. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got something out of it. And thank you for listening to me talk at you for a little bit for these little recaps. And we'll have hopefully some more videos soon for you. So have a great rest of your day, rest of whatever you're doing, and thanks for watching. And I'll see you around. Have a good one.